we're going to play this game. So, let's say, for example, we're going to start with, let's say, company A, and I just give a name for now, just AI/safety, unless you guys want to come up with another name. But what we're going to do is that whenever they answer the question, I'm going to critique that question, I'm going to try to challenge them, and then I want the other two teams to score the question a grade of 1 to 3. Either 1 or 2 or 3. 3 if you think that the answer was perfect, and you think they thought about the details. 2 if you think it's an okay answer. 1 if you think it's lacking some angles. All right. So the other teams will evaluate your answers, and I'm going to chime in as well. I'm going to give a score to each team on every question. I'm going to see who's going to get the high score at that.
But collusion is not allowed.
All right, and what we're gonna do, so we don't, give a disadvantage to anybody, we're gonna, let's say for example, you guys start answering the first question, you guys get the second question, you guys get the third question, then you get the fourth, fifth, sixth, and so on. So this way you get a chance to listen to the other party as well. Okay. So it's not just the pressures of one team to answer that question. All right. You guys want to go ahead?
Yeah, I guess so.
All right.
So for how do we develop an effective comprehensive business plan, we said that we would try acquiring a talented team, maybe volunteering and interning at companies with like a similar scope and like that also do AI and safety in order to get some knowledge of like how they're working their company, as well as like look at other companies with similar products. Have brainstorm meetings with like our team.
Okay, so remember you don't have a team yet. Okay. You told me you're starting on your own.
Right.
So you don't have a group of people who are willing to work for free yet, because you're just starting at the beginning. So how would you bring another, company that has already been in the same space that might be your competition to help you get your ideas to life so you can compete against them one day? Think about it this way. If I'm starting a company doing estimating, can I use advice from another estimating company and tell them, hey, tell me how to market or tell me how to set up my business plan so one day I can compete against you? Do you think they will help me? Okay, and by the way, I want you guys to also critique their answers, because it's all about discussion too, and maybe opening up our brains to maybe new angles. So it's okay if you want to have a follow-up question. So let's go through your answers one more time. I think you covered a couple of different points.
We also said volunteering or interning at companies with like a similar that do similar things.
Volunteering or interning. Mm-hmm. Okay, do similar things. Okay, so I guess my question to you is, how would you even know what should be in the business plan? Like if I tell you today, go ahead and write a business plan, do you even know what the topics that you should cover in a business plan? You guys have any idea? Okay, so how would you know that in a business plan that you're going to develop, let's say, what Dr. Summer said in their research, right? How would you know that you really covered all the different angles that are specific to your business?
I guess we could start off with this a generic business plan and model it to basically to meet our needs of our company, and then speak to the other owners of a company to see what pitfalls they've had, basically putting their business together and how they move forward basically beyond it.
It's a great and a very practical answer and very realistic too, right? You can just discuss with other people and say, I put together my plan, just go through it and tell me what you think, or at least summarize it for them. So that usually works. I'll tell you what I did on my own. So I read a book called Business Plan for Dummies. The series of those books. I just used to go to Barnes and Noble and spend nights and nights before I started my business just reading on how to develop a business plan, what should be the topics, and what should I cover, what should I not. And then I learned recently a trick that I think might be very helpful for you guys. So keep that in mind. If you put together a business plan, in order for you to find out whether this business plan is successful and will actually make money or not, is to see if somebody will back you. So you can actually take this business plan to a bank and say, hey, can you give me $1 million to start my company, or maybe $500,000 to start my company? Here's my idea. Here's what I want to accomplish. So the bank, they want to make money, right? So what they do is that they have loan officers. All they do 24/7 is that they evaluate the person, they look at your resume, qualifications, your experience, and they review a business plan. If they feel like you have a solid business plan, and they do this day in, day out for hundreds and hundreds of startup businesses. So they will be an extra source for free for you that can actually review the business plan. And if they tell you, yes, we are willing to give you the money, do you think this is a good business plan?
Absolutely.
So chances are they're gonna try to minimize the risk. So they'll be expect that they might tell you no. But if they say yes, that means that your business plan is solid and you should start going to work.
Okay.
So that'd be one way banks can do this, and they can do that quickly, and they're used to doing this on a daily basis. But that's one idea that might help. Okay. So how would we rate your answer to the first question on a scale of 1 to 3? You guys wanna take a stab? Remember, don't be too nice because eventually you're gonna want to win. So how would you do the answers?
A
2?
A
Okay.
2.25.
That's right. All right.
We're going to
2 and 2. Okay. I was gonna give it a 1 until you added those points at the end, so I would say 2 as well.
Okay.
All right. So the first one, I'm gonna give it a 2 on team. Let's say team A. All right. You guys want to tell us how you answered that question?
First one or the second?
First question.
Okay. So, kind of start with analyzing your environment and seeing, what other contractors are doing and what they're not doing
Good.
to try to kind of find your niche.
Good.
And then from there, kind of want to have a main focus on employees, because if your employees are doing good and getting paid well, then you don't really have anything to worry about. It takes a lot less off of your plate.
Let's remember, you're at day 1. You're not employees yet.
Right.
Just starting.
So you would technically be your own employee.
You're the only one in the company. You're the company.
Right.
You're everybody.
Right. So yeah, so main focus on yourself, make sure that you are allocating your time correctly, stuff like that. And we have networking, which kind of goes with analyzing your environment.
Let's focus on just the first question for now, just the business plan.
Oh, okay.
So for the business plan part, how would you make sure that you have a comprehensive / effective business plan where you thought about the details and you covered as much as you can on the different aspects?
Okay, and then so the last thing for that, we have analyzing your cash flow.
Cash flow.
Yeah, making sure that it will actually be an effective business.
What if you want cash but there's no flow? You're starting on your own, and I'm not assuming that any of us here is going to use somebody else's money. You're starting on your own. So how would you analyze the cash flow if you don't have any cash coming in yet?
You can always do future, return on investments and stuff like that.
Okay. All right. You guys have any questions for him? I want you to critique their questions too. Maybe it's a discussion for us, so we can feed off each other's ideas. Okay. Would you wanna help us evaluate the first answer? You wanna go ahead and give
Give them a grade.
1 or 2 or 3?
2.
Or you guys, what do you think?
Can I ask a question?
Huh? Yeah, ask a question, please.
What's the question I'm thinking of? Do you have someone with business mind, business sense, to sort of spearhead things, or is it a trial and error thing for you?
Great question, brother.
So, I guess you would have to be that person to, spearhead and analyze everything. Can you repeat your question?
Basically, where's the business sense coming from?
Yeah.
Do you have a background in that? Do you have somebody with a background in that? Where are you getting your, business sense from?
Okay, gotcha. So you would kind of either have to have it if you're starting your own company or want to have it. So it's either, you're learning by yourself or you already have that previous knowledge or you've worked with somebody in another company in the same area.
So it could be trial and error.
Right, yeah.
But what about going to professional organizations and asking, there are lots of volunteer positions that people would have retired, come back and say, I created my company, I was successful, and here are some lessons, here are some things to look for. how do you go about getting money and stuff?
Right. Like a mentor.
Right? So, you have to rely on yourself if you're gonna be a successful entrepreneur, but if you limit it to yourself, you are missing a lot of input that you can get by talking to people
100%.
that it.
Yes, 100% right. There's only so much that you know, right? So at the beginning that I know what I know, but there's only so much I know. So how can I improve my own skills? How can I know more so I don't pay for my own mistakes, right? The idea is that the sooner you will find the right decision, that you make the right choices, the sooner that company will grow. Right? So that's what I'm saying. Maybe seek help from other professionals in the industry, or maybe older than you, have more experience than you. And people sometimes, they want to share the knowledge, right? As long as you don't go directly to competition, right? So it's good to use those professional organizations, just like I see a lot of signs here for APC and a lot of other local chapters that where you can go there and you can say, hey guys, I don't know anything about this, and I'm trying to do this. And believe it or not, there will be somebody who's willing to at least point you in the right direction. So it's a good source of information to try to learn from there. Okay, so you still are at 2?
Yeah.
Okay, what about you guys? 1, 2, or 3? 2? 2? Yes, not 2.25. This should be 4. And I'm gonna give them my own score as well. So this should be 6. And I'm gonna give this one 2, 2, or maybe this one 5. Supply chain. Go ahead.
Okay, so we wrote down to look at the flaws and practices of competitors and other similar companies, or companies that have a general idea of what we're trying to do, and kind of analyze what they're doing right and wrong, and go from there.
Okay.
And then looking into recruiting personnel that has the insight of what's
First question on business plan.
yeah,
Okay.
and that has insight in the needs and various aspects of what we're trying to do.
How would you do that? Okay.
We would start out networking. Basically, we would look at what's our unit goal, what's our 2-year goal, and just analyze how we want to grow. So we would start out with our own equipment. How long before we're going to be able to procure a fleet for our business?
Right.
We don't want to.
I think there's one thing I want to do attention to is that the term comprehensive here. The reason why I'm pointing this out because as a business, you cannot be really good at one part of the business and really bad at the rest. So you really want to try to cover all different aspects. Remember at the beginning when I told you you have to wear a lot of different hats. You have to know a little bit about accounting, a little bit about legal, a little bit about human resources, a little bit about marketing, sales, the product, and all of this. So that's why I want to make sure you guys, when you think about a business plan, think about how can I cover all of those aspects, right? I'm not just focusing on one area, how to recruit, the best people, and how to make sure my product is perfect, but I forgot about everything else. Right? So it's important in a business plan to make sure it's comprehensive, covering all the different angles as much as you can. Even if there's some areas that you don't know enough about, but at least you thought about it, you put some ideas, and you say, hey, to be determined. There's more work I know that needs to be done there. So at least for you to know that there's an area that's lacking, that's at least one step in that direction. Right? So at least I identify the problem, then hopefully I will resolve it soon. But if I don't even know that's a problem, then I'm just going to let it fall on my face and realize, oh wait, I never thought about the legal contracts with them. I never thought about, hey, I need to get some legal support. Well, if you don't get legal support, or you don't know what to do, you're going to have bad contracts and you might run yourself out of business, right? So it's important to focus on the comprehensive side because the business plan has a list of topics that you should cover. So whenever you either read a book or you do some research online or try to use a sample of another business plan, you will see the list of those topics. And the goal is for you to make sure you answer every one of those questions, right? You can't just answer half and leave the rest, right? Okay, so I would give it a 2. So what about you guys? How would you rate that first answer? There's a lot of projecting.
Oh, you want to
Turn it off, I guess.
Yes.
Alright, so how would you guys rate their answer?
I think out of everyone, it's probably the best, but I think
You think they're the best answers? B? Okay, good. How about you guys?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Some people use me for usually.
Kevin is usually here, he does it.
I'll give it a give it a 7. Alright, so you guys get the next question. So now you had the benefit that you heard about the critique of the answer, but now you're on the line first. Alright, next question.
So I think also just kind of analyze what our goals and who the competitors are and what we're trying to achieve from that first, like really analyze what that is to start with. And then proceed from there, like if our competitors are having high shipping costs, try to beat them in that arena. I don't know, something, so if it was like really start from the beginning,
Right.
we were saying, I mean, you would be your own personnel, like supplying, because you don't have employees yet, so figure out, like, if Home Depot does like a delivery service and they charge however amount, maybe it'd be like a monthly subscription or something like that.
So why don't you walk the rest of the team on, your company in the first place? What is give us a little more description about the product. What exactly are you guys doing?
Okay, so, well, originally when we started talking about it, we said like supply chain, but then when you pointed out like this is like your own startup, so we started off assuming like, oh, it's already like a company that's going, how do we kind of keep it running? But if we're really starting, it might be like a one-person kind of show. Maybe hire other people as you grow a little bit more and then physically get an actual place. But if we're really starting from the bottom, then it's for like a delivery service that we can,
Okay.
not supply chain
So
yet.
delivering what?
So equipment that they might need, things that would fit in your car, I'm guessing.
Okay.
So what we were saying is like, I've noticed when I worked in like a little internship, like with a home building company, and it's usually like it's a bigger contractor, and then they subcontract out like roofing, painting,
Right,
like,
right.
plumbing, whatever. And each of those subcontractors usually have one single person that like delivers stuff for them, like on a
Yeah.
day-to-day basis, where it's like, oh, we missed one bag, can you get that for us?
Yes.
So instead of having each company have their own person, have like a free individual.
Oh, free agent.
Like a free agent that works for whatever company that needs it. Because I'm sure they pay that person per day rather than like, oh, per trip. You know,
Okay.
I can do that for.
Okay. So let's say you start as a delivering material or equipment. What would be the next step? Like what would be your goal eventually?
Get other people to work for you to do that. Like hire other people, not just you to
Right.
start that delivery system, just kind of expand a little bit. Maybe you start off with like a 5-mile radius or
Right,
whatever.
right.
Yeah. Because also you have to take into account like you can't probably deliver 2 things at the same time.
Right. But the goal is to like deliver material. What's ultimately the goal? Is it just to deliver material as many jobs as possible, or is it to grow the scope of
Yeah.
the company?
Getting close with the contractors around us, so we're familiar with the project, we know you're doing your plumbing, we know you're doing your finishing. So we're gonna like, we know you're gonna need drywall at this stage, so we're with you, we have that. I would say one of our angles would be like T-Mo, Tesla, electric, green, that kind of thing, just kind of have a little bit of an angle.
Okay, good.
And
Okay.
also like to, so basically like to have like an Amazon but for construction, so like when somebody, even if someone runs out of materials or something's holding up a project, it's like we can deliver it like that day. That's like the big goal.
Okay. Excellent answer. I personally love it. I think it's a great idea, and I think the idea of taking a company that's already existing like Amazon and saying, okay, how can I apply this to a different industry, something that they don't have currently? I see a gap. I see people like making calls the good old ways. How can I make this automate that process and make it an easy to use app or website where you can just go in and schedule something, and we'll try to like make it as efficient as possible. So I think that kind of mentality, which makes it, goes back to the original point I was talking about, is like how can we make it simpler and easier for the customer to use and figure out a way to reduce their cost, right? So for example, a lot of people back in the day, they used to have somebody working full-time answering phone calls, right? Now you just have an app where you can collect all the data and then put it on an Excel sheet and then, send out the orders. So you cut a middleman there. You cut a full-time person that maybe making $30 or $40, $50,000 a year by just having an app or an AI technology. So I like the idea a lot. Okay. Anything else you want to add to that question? Okay. Would you guys like to give him a score? Go ahead.
I think,
3.
yeah.
Yeah, I
3.
agree.
Okay. 3. All right. I think you're gonna get a 9. Good job. All right. Next one. So, what's your? Actually, next team. So go ahead. Yeah, number 2. Yep, same question.
So we said that we were gonna implement new technology
Okay.
to make things efficient and accurate, so that will help us in just every way, I guess. And then we said that another way to lower our price would be to be self-performed or something.
Okay. Okay. Remember, as far as prices, of course, a lot of people want to lower the prices. Even the big corporations, they want to lower their price, right? I believe it or not, sometimes it's easier for the big companies to lower the prices because they have volume, right? So lowering the prices, you got to be very careful because there's only so much you can do when working 8 or 10 or even 12 hours a day. So you got to be careful with that. Obviously, everybody want to lower the price so they can win the jobs, but you don't want to get to a point where you run yourself out of work. But you still want to be able to allow some money for how do I market, allow some time to be able to do all the other things around the business. Okay. Anything else you guys would like to add? Okay. Any questions you have for them? Okay. Scoring time. Right. How do you guys like to rate this answer? 1, 2, 3. Going once, twice.
2.
You guys say 2? Did I hear 2 over there?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So I'll give him 2 as well. We got 6. All right.
So what's gonna help us win bids and beat our competitors is basically our new technology. So normally, safety inspections are done just by a person. Safety inspector comes in, he inspects the building or the bridge or whatever. But instead, we have a drone that comes in, scans the structure, and then using technology, they scan all the safety things, the cracks in the buildings, and stuff like that. So that's kind of what sets us aside is our new technology, and it's supposed to be faster and more efficient and saves you money.
Okay. Everybody uses this force, by the way. So you gotta be able to back them up faster and more efficient and save you money. So what if you were trying to pitch this idea to me as a project manager for project X, and then I tell you, by the way, we had another company pitch the same idea, and they are also using AI, and they're also using drones. How would you answer that?
Maybe to specializing in something, whether it be ease of use, because I know for some companies they're kind of just stuck in the old ways of doing things. So maybe they think that, oh no, this is too complicated, this is too difficult, but just trying to show how easy it can be to use.
The presentation they gave me last week was amazing. They actually covered all the points. So why should I use you guys?
Our services are expandable. We actually have to offer mapping for the pavements in other areas. Basically,
So you do mapping too? Okay, well, they don't do that. Okay, what else do you do?
Also, for structures like dams, also basically confined areas or any nuclear power plants where the exposure of radiation close to the personnel would be eliminated or shielded by using the drones.
Oh, you seem to know so much about this. Have you actually used this technology on those projects in the past?
No.
Okay.
We have a prototype. We have a prototype.
We can show you a demo.
Okay. So why would I pay for a service and it might or might not work?
we can show you a demo.
Yeah.
So
Right.
with the infrastructure you have, I mean, well, basically besides just the bridge aspect, is basically we could also, model or basically inspect your roadways, your drainage culverts and other basically infrastructure you may have or you're utilizing.
Okay. And do you have a demo for that you can show me? Okay.
It's in development.
The demo is in
No,
development.
the demo's ready.
The demo is in development. Well, the check will be in development too. Okay. All right. So I was being tough on you. I'm just trying to, open up your mind a little bit. And we'll do more of this role playing, so I can, put myself in the client shoes, the person who's buying your service. Okay. How would you rate the answer? 2, 3.
Yeah, I think that.
2. Okay. Right. 3, 2. I'll give it a 3. So that's 8. Alright. Next, what's your marketing strategy? I'm gonna beat you up on this one in a second.
Okay.
Line work.
So we have attending fairs and talking to different companies about our product and volunteering to speak at universities to sort of talk to people about our product and what it does and doing demonstrations for small companies, showing them what it is that the technology can do and things like that.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so 3 different families. Okay, good. Any other ideas? Are those expensive ideas?
I don't think so.
Okay. Are they expensive as far as time?
Yes.
Okay. Remember, time is very limited. Time is going to be the most precious resource you have. You're going to be very careful how you waste your time. Because whatever time you spend on in one day, you're taking time of doing something else. So remember, it's not just about money, it's about time. I was reading a book the other day, they say like the new, people they used to call themselves rich because they have a lot of money. But the new rich are the people who have time, right? So they can be able to like enjoy what money they make. They compare to people in that book to one person who made $40,000 a year, but only works, half days. Another person who makes $80,000 a year, but he works 12 hours. Which person do you really want to be? Work 12 hours every day, 6 days a week, or you're going to make less money but be able to enjoy your life. It's a decision you have to make, but I'm just saying that put things in perspective. Making more money that is not necessarily equivalent to being richer. Okay, so those options are not going to cost you much money, but will cost you some time. Okay.
I think just add on 2 and 3, thinking about offering an experience, we assume that efficiency is a buzzword, but actually not everybody is looking for efficiency. Some people are looking for a style, some people are looking for a practice, some people are looking for an image. If you only go for efficiency, you'll only be competing on cost. Some people, cost is relatively irrelevant. I'd rather wait a long time for something that fulfills exactly my needs. So I may want somebody who's not as efficient, but takes their time and provides a better solution. If you keep harboring on efficiency, everybody is saying the same thing, you're not going to differentiate yourself. So as Hany was saying, why will they pick you if they heard the same exact words from the same exact, from different people, all selling the same thing? So they pick you because of something. You're offering an experience. They like you more. You touched on something that's a real problem that they face. For example, winning bids. Is winning bids the only way to get work? Not necessarily. A lot of very successful contractors get bids that are negotiated. It's not really a bid because they offer something else. They offer, maybe they are comfortable with you. Maybe you address their concerns faster. Maybe. So all of these things work together to make you think about what you'd like to offer. I was watching one time a video, was really a good one, about a hairdresser. So this has nothing to do with construction or engineering. And they were saying about how they were marketing their services, and it was a women's hairdresser, and he said customer balked at the high price he was put to charge. And he said a lot of people say, well, that's my price and I'm sorry I can't help you. He said, never, if you're selling something, never lose a sale because somebody is saying it's too high. Explain why it's worth it. So he asked the client, the woman, he asked, why do you want to get your hair done? And she said, because in a month or 3 weeks, I'm going to a reunion of my high school. And she, this was a few years ago, she was middle-aged. And he said, okay, what I'm offering you is you look the best of all your colleagues. And when you sell it that way, then price doesn't become the major issue that you're competing with. Because if you compete only on price, at some point somebody's gonna do it cheaper. You're happy with a Rolls Royce, somebody else is would be very happy with Mercedes, doesn't want the Rolls. And yet somebody else will be happy with a Hyundai. That's gonna take some money off of you. So don't make your emphasis only on cost and efficiency. Look at what the customer is looking for.
Yeah, I could not agree more. So a lot of people use the buzzwords of we're more efficient, our price is lower, it's gonna save you more money. Think about it this way, you're watching TV, you're sitting on the sofa watching TV. How many commercials do you see that say kind of the same thing? Hey, you're gonna save money with us, we're quicker, we're better, we're number one. That's not really what sells. What sells is really about understanding what the customer really wants and what's important to them. So listening to them. So one of the things I haven't heard so far is that how would I really know what people are looking for, right? So if I'm starting my company, I will probably start by asking people, what do you think is missing? How can we improve this? Let's say that you want to start a particular field, where do you see it fails? Do you see enough people doing this? Are you getting that service? Sometimes if you ever watch Shark Tank, you always say, hey, you know what? Nobody has been doing this. Nobody has thought about it. So I decided to do it. Right? A lot of people, that's how they got their aha moment. Is that they thought about something nobody has done. And this could be applied in any scenario. So the hairdresser story is actually excellent and applies to any business. So think about it as that you really want to try to listen more than talk. In sales and marketing, they say you always gotta buy before you sell. So you gotta understand what he's looking for. Because you might be talking about efficiency, and you might be true, and you might be telling them a good story that actually might be good for them. But they don't care about efficiency. They care about the style, they care about something that will make them look good in front of their boss, they make about something they can brag about to the owner, they can make it about something that's, very quick. So, you gotta really listen to the other side and understand what they're looking for, because that's what they're willing to pay for. They're not willing to pay for what you're selling them, they're willing to pay for what they want to buy. And there's a difference. Okay. Well, first of all, how would we rate that answer? For some reason we intend to critique their answers more than anybody else. Not fair. How would we rate their answers? Go ahead. Don't say 2.25.
3.7.
We'll give him a 3.
Give a 3. Okay, great. How about you?
3.
3? Okay. I'll give it a 2. So 8. All right. You're up next. Yes.
So we had networking, and then how we're gonna do networking is that we're trying to join like groups like ABC that they have like so many networking opportunities.
Okay.
They have like the construction expo.
Sure.
They have GC Connect. So that's like a way for us,
Sure.
about like just learn about other businesses, but
Okay.
also like know about us.
Yep.
Social media as well. I guess reputation would be also a good one.
You don't have a reputation yet, you just start.
But we're gonna start with.
Nobody knows about you yet.
In the future, it's gonna be great in marketing strategy. And then also we had us hoping like nonprofit is also like a great way to market. Even if we don't get like anything back, but it's just our name is getting out there.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you, I love the idea of non-profit, but you're not gonna be able to do this at the beginning. Because you're gonna have your own set of problems that you need to fix first before you can help others, right? I would be surprised if somebody's starting a business and he has time to take a half a day to go help another, another company or another group, or volunteer, because they're gonna be burdened with so many things that they have to do each day, because they're under the pressure of how can I start generating income? How can I get people to buy my idea? And once they buy it, how can I get somebody to help me so I can execute the work, right? So think about it as at the beginning, you're trying to get the ball rolling, you're trying to get started. A lot of people, what they do is that they will work for a company for X amount of time, whether it's 1 month, 1 year, 10 years, 20 years, and then they start their own business. But what happens is once they start their own business, all of a sudden the income that they're used to getting stops. And now they have to, figure out a way, how can I get paid? I'm used to getting a paycheck every 2 weeks of $2,000, $5,000. How can I maintain this? Now all of a sudden I still have the same expenses, but I don't want to make money. So time is going to become extremely precious, and you're going to be stressed out. You're going to find yourself not sleeping because you always think about what to do next, and which is okay, because if you love what you do, you will always figure out a way to get out of it, and figure out a way to resolve those problems. But if you don't like what you do and you're only driven by money, sometimes you'll find yourself complaining about it too much. So I like the idea of helping others, and maybe you can get to that point sooner than later. But always think about how can I go over the first hurdle? How do I really get my name out there? Now we touched on social media. So I just want to talk about this for 1 minute. So social media is a great resource, but how would you stand out on social media when there's so many other people using the same social media to market for a similar service? How would you stand out? You know how many videos are out there, how many ads are out there. How would you stand out?
I think the construction industry is super, what's the word? Like social media is super underutilized, and the ones that are using social media are like 3 steps above the ones that aren't. Like I work for a company that, I posted 3 TikToks. Took me 15 seconds each, and now we have $400,000 worth of profit in the work that we got just from those TikToks. So I think it's super.
If those numbers are accurate, I'm gonna hire you tomorrow.
I can show you the bids that we just sent out yesterday.
Okay, I'm interested to see it.
Yeah. I think it's crazy. I think it's very underutilized in the construction industry.
I think you're right. A lot of general contractors are people who are not used to technology. Believe it or not, I'm going to tell you something that you will hit in the real world. Is that a lot of people are afraid of technology in the construction industry. Believe it or not, they don't want to deal with it. They say, hey, let the young people coming out of college deal with this. I don't want to learn a new software. I know how to do it. I myself, when I first started, I used to work with scheduling. Primavera is a software you're probably familiar with. A lot of people will still do schedules the good old way, where they just do it by hand, or they will just do it in Excel, because that's what they're comfortable with. They don't want to learn a new software, they don't want to learn new ideas and functions and features of the software, they don't care about that. Right now it's picking up more, but it didn't used to be like this when it first started. So, sometimes you get resistance from people who just don't want to deal with technology. And the problem is, in the general contractor world, usually the people who are decision makers are those who have been around for 30, 40 years doing the same thing. They are usually resisting the idea a lot. So unless you have a really good idea and you can see them value, you can show them the value, they usually will push back. Just remember that. I used to, I'll tell you about myself, when I first started, they put me and say, hey, you're in charge of computer support, anything that has to do with computer support. That's what they called that position at that time. And I said, okay. And a lot of times I was really challenged with the fact that I felt that they knew so much more than me, and I don't know enough. But later on, as I got older, I realized that the people who have a lot of experience are looking for younger people to provide solutions. Are looking for younger people to say, hey, how about we try this? How about we try that? So they want to hear ideas, and they want to hear somebody who's passionate about an idea, or on another approach than what they're used to trying. And usually they'll be willing to give you a chance, say, hey, maybe you take the ball and run with it for a day or 2 or 3 and see what you come up with, as long as this is not going to cost me an arm and a leg. So think about it this way: when you're young and you're coming into an industry that has a lot of people who are much older than you, much more knowledgeable than you, much more experienced than you, and they're in a much more powerful position than you are, and they know a lot of people, do not be intimidated by that. Trust me, they sometimes, if you are able to prove that you can actually benefit the project or benefit the company, you will be somebody that they would actually want to work with. And they will be fighting for having the right support or the right assistance. They will say, hey, you know what, I want this young guy on my team because he's really good. I want this young guy because he adds something that I don't know how to do. So I actually want this guy on my team. And then somebody has to be like, no, I want this guy on my team. Let's see who's gonna get him. So they will actually compete for you. Even though you're like, I don't know much, how are they competing for me? No, you know one thing and you know it well. So that means that you're adding value in one specific area. So just remember that. Know your value and don't be intimidated by those who have a lot more experience and in a higher position than you are. Okay? So how would we rate their answer? I feel like by the time I ask you this question, you already forgot the answer.
Yeah.
3? Yeah. Okay. You said social media, and you said going to construction conferences like ABC, and then you mentioned TikTok and so on. And then what was your third source for marketing?
It was like non-profit, like community
Non-profit,
service.
helping non-profit organization. Okay, so you give him a 3? Okay, what about you guys? Okay, I like your TikTok idea. I'll give it a 3 too. I'm gonna check out this video and see. Okay, all right. So go ahead.
Our marketing strategy was kind of just ask and kind of use the connections we already have. For example, I work at like an land development internship,
Okay.
so I know like if there's gonna be a new land development project that they may go try to deliver stuff for them.
Okay.
Like I can maybe go the one I'm at right now. Sometimes they do like very just years in advance. So I guess right now I'm not one for like later to use, but also the ones that they also have going on right now.
Okay, good. Okay, that's one idea.
And not just that, they look into, like connecting to what you said. So if you get the name out, students start getting on in, they start to think, okay, I work for this company, but I use this company, I recommend this company to, you know, and the company interning and so on and so forth. So I get the name out there first and foremost. And after that, we would look into obviously setting up our websites, setting up our Facebook, things like that. The biggest thing is just getting the name out.
Okay, I'm gonna try to critique your ideas, but not shoot it down, just kind of like open your mind. So think about this: when you're starting a company and you're looking for somebody who can actually use your service. If you go back to students, those students are studying in school. Yeah, one day they will maybe like work in a company or have their own, but that's a really long-term solution. So your marketing strategy, we're not talking about like a 5-year marketing strategy. We're talking about something for the near future, something you can start bringing in some projects and bringing some cash flows, we can start growing. So students, I would say it's a good idea for long term, but for short term, I don't think it's gonna be your best friend.
What is cheaper?
Right. What else?
I would say we've talked about too, about actually going to projects and asking if there's a need. I actually thought it was funny when we were at our site for this class,
Okay.
2 ladies
You
came.
went to site?
Just
Mhm.
where else?
This is amazing.
2 ladies came up and they thought we were with the working for them, but they were just asking. They came to ask for work, and like I don't. We directed them to who they needed to talk to, but I don't know if they actually got it or not. But I would imagine if people are missing something and someone actually comes up and say, "Can I fill that need?" We were thinking that would be like something that would be a way to get our foot in the door.
Okay. Okay.
It's like very targeted marketing, I guess, like people who would actually need it. Like you were saying, not students perhaps, but actual places that are going on that might need something delivered to them, like in the next day or 2, you know.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions for them? Okay. All right. How would you rate your answer? 2. 3. Okay. I'll give it a 2 because you guys have bigger groups, so it's not fair. Great. Stable.
That's what it is.
Okay, so one thing I wanna draw your attention to, I think that this really one thing, is that whenever you have a strategy and you put together a plan, this plan has to involve a couple of factors. One of them is not just the ideas and the marketing venues that you're gonna use, but also the time plan, right? Is this marketing idea over like a 6-month period, or over a 1-year period, or over a 5-year period, right? So for each one of those ideas, you have to figure out, hey, how much time I'm gonna assign to that? How long is it gonna take me to achieve that goal, right? And the second thing, how much money or my own time I'm gonna use in that marketing strategy, right? So for example, if let's say you're gonna go to ABC conference, right? Sometimes they will ask you to pay to become a member. Sometimes they ask you to pay to show. So you have to figure out, how much money I'm willing to spend on becoming an ABC, member. Sometimes if you wanna spend some time on social media, how much time you're gonna spend to try to create videos or create content and try to share it and try to do some SEO or get the word out there. So always whenever you think about a strategy, that's the one thing that all 3 teams fail to mention is how much time I'm gonna spend for my own time, how much money I'm gonna devote to each one of those areas, and how long it's gonna take me to achieve those goals. So if I'm writing a strategy, I'm gonna say, hey, my strategy would be to go through 3 different directions. Let's just say, for example, social media. I'm gonna say social media, I'm gonna spend X amount of money, and I'm gonna focus on this for the first 2-3 weeks. I'm gonna create content, and this content will be distributed maybe once a day or once a week. But I'm gonna spend the next 2-3 weeks working on it. And then the following month, I'm gonna be working on maybe attending a couple of conferences in the area as they come up. Then maybe the month after, I'm gonna be working on a different idea. So the goal is you have to split your time and figure out what you do. So as a business owner, remember one thing that will really help you in the future. You're either spending your time doing the work and you don't have enough time to market, or you're either spending your time marketing and you don't have time to do the work. So ideally, you want to have a combination of both, right? You're doing some marketing, you're spending some of your time marketing and some of your time doing the work, right? So remember that you want to be able to divide your time wisely. All right, next question. So who's gonna that'll be you guys. All right.
So this is assuming that we can direction attract top talent. So we set to kind of focus on creating like a good environment to work at, like a good place people want to work at. So we were trying to hit mostly maybe like management positions. Management really kind of sometimes helps that environment. If you have a manager that encourages you to see the top of your coworkers or what have you, interact. So I guess try to attract not just that they're talented at what they do, but also that they're good people. So that way people would want to work there. It's a good environment.
So here's a challenge with this part. You're a startup. Let's say you're a 1 person, or 2 people, or 3 people that do have 3 partners, right? How would you convince someone to leave a company they've been working with for 5, 10, or 20 years and leave that big, stable, organization and come work for a startup? That's the challenge. That's the question, really, right? Because that's the guy you want. You want the guy who has that experience, who has been working for another company and has seen a lot of issues and problems, and he can bring this experience to your small team. So how would I really get this guy to say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna quit my job when I have a stable income and they have insurance and 401k and they have perks and they have Christmas parties and you give me a company car or gas card and all those things, and work for you who is just starting from scratch and you may or may not make it. That's really the question.
Trying to figure out what he or she is missing in that position that
Perfect.
they're currently in.
Perfect.
What they need and try to
Excellent answer.
provide that.
Yes, so it's a case by case. Every individual is different, right? Some people are looking for money, some people are looking for freedom, some people are looking for a bigger position. Some people, they're just being sick of being a small fish in the ocean and they just want to be a big fish in the pond. They just want to be able to make decisions, they want to be able to have control. They're sick of a big organization where they only do such a small thing, and for any other idea they have to go to so many approvals to so many different departments to see the right through. Versus a small company, if they have an idea, they have a chance to run with it. And And if they make it, then it's their own baby, and then they can see it growing. So you can sell your company to and from other angles, but listening to that individual and finding out that person and what they really want is huge. Because a lot of people make the mistake; they just say, "Hey, we offered X, Y, Z." They even put it on a flyer, they even put it on a website, but you don't know who the individual you're talking to. Everybody's different. Okay.
Actually, a true story. Steve Jobs was looking to expand Apple. This is a long time ago, before he became Steve Jobs, and he decided he had to attract somebody that is experienced in running a large organization to take Apple to the next step. So he identified a guy by the name of Scully, Adam or Steve Scully, I forgot his last name. So he was the head of Pepsi. And how do you get somebody who's the CEO of Pepsi, which is a massive organization, to come down to something called Apple Computer that nobody had heard about? So we went to him and talked to him and said, do you want to spend the rest of your life creating a product that will change the world, or do you want to spend it selling sugar drinks? Then he actually convinced him, and he left Apple, he left Pepsi and came now later he fired Steve Jobs, so that was a bad mistake. But that is actually a true story.
Yeah, but that's huge too. So that tells you like how important it is to listen to the other guy and try to like find this gap, like you mentioned, and find out what is it that they're missing and try to provide that, right? Because no matter how much money as a startup you can provide them, you're not going to beat the big organizations. There's no way you're going to give them better insurance than the big organizations. There's no way you're going to give them all the perks the big organizations give them. But that's a challenge of being small, right? So you gotta own that and go with it. All right. How would we rate the answers?
I want to add one thing.
Go ahead, please.
Just because we're not necessarily competing with Amazon, but I would target Amazon employees that got laid off and then use their expertise.
Good.
Just wanted to add that.
Excellent. Yeah, no, it's a good idea. Good. I cannot wait to write my score on this one. So we got more than 3. Okay, how would you guys rate it?
3.
Okay, 3. Okay. Don't be too generous because some point you want to compete. 2. Like those guys. 3, 2, or give it 3. Okay. It's an 8. Right, next.
So,
How do you attract top talents?
since we're a small company, we can offer more growth, more freedom,
Okay.
and, potentially more pay. It depends on where you're coming from, but we can offer, percentage of profit on certain jobs,
Sure.
like that, bonuses.
Okay. Good. What if I tell you, hey, you're promising me the sun and the moon, but I need to get paid now? You're telling me that I might get paid, I might make money in a year from now, I might get a big bonus, but I'm already making a lot of money today. Why would I leave all the stability and make less with you?
Adventure.
Huh?
Adventure.
Adventure? Okay, but I have a family, why am I gonna feed them? Adventure?
Maybe it's not.
I'm gonna take them to islands of adventure.
I guess we're targeting like people that are like have the same goals as we as an owner, because it will be like a new challenge for them, and
Good.
it's like people that actually want to like grow and they want to own something, because I
Sure.
guess our company will be like employee owned, and if you're working with us, you also own the company as
So
well.
you're gonna give away equity?
Well, that's a different talk. Don't jump into that, but
Okay.
yeah.
All right. How would you rate the answers? Let's try to come on to a little bit quicker. How would you rate the answer? 2. 2. Okay. I'll give it a 3. So 8. Okay.
We said we could give them like a share in the company, and
You're gonna give him a chair? Okay.
yeah, and then another thing I thought about was like I work at a small company, and we just like the owner just lowered it to like a 36-hour work week, so maybe do like things like that, like maybe not, you can't tell them that I'm gonna pay you more than this other company, but like I can give you a better work-life balance, things like that.
Okay. But how would you afford giving him less time, less working hours, and give him a chair in a company that early. Like imagine if somebody like, you know, usually on a smaller company, you want people to work more hours. And it's not up to you just because he doesn't only do his job, but he sometimes does a little bit of accounting, a little bit of, you know, HR, a little bit of like marketing, along with his main job. So he's gonna end up working more hours. So it's gonna be hard for you to really like, you know, reducing his hours and getting the same value out of him. Because he doesn't have a big support team to provide him support in like all the other departments where he has that in a big company. So I'm just proposing this challenge for you guys so you understand that as a startup or as a company that's, you know, started from the beginning, you're gonna need to like try to find good people and compete with the big companies that have been around for 30, 40 years. That they have it all figured out and have a lot of different small departments. And they're used to like making a call and say, hey, you know, HR, I need to hire somebody within a week. Find me somebody. In a small company, if he needs support, he would have to go find that person himself. So all of a sudden he's gonna have to leave what he's doing and start going, talking to people and, you know, interviewing people and recruiting people. And then he gives an offer to someone else that might say, change his mind at the end. So he spends a week working on this with 0 results. So that's what I'm saying. You have to understand that, you know, whenever you hire somebody, you're probably gonna have to work more hours to achieve just the same result that you used to achieve in another company, because he doesn't have the support around him.
I think an important part would be to like show that there's an interest in the product that we're working on and just the potential for growth and just the wide implementation that could happen from it.
So you're gonna have to sweet talk him a lot, because you're gonna ask him like,
I think maybe if we were like going to other companies beforehand and showing like demos and products and then showing that there's a definite interest in it, that would really help convince them.
okay, so that would be convincing on only one condition. If your product is so solid that he's willing to take such a big risk, to be able to like leave a comfort zone that he has and the stable income, to go with something that's new. He has to really like your product.
Yeah.
You have to really like get to a point where the product, you know, is something that impressive. And something that people can say, oh, you know what, there is a big need for that. I can see that growing one day.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else you want to add? All right, how would rate their answer? Two. Okay. How about you guys? 2. Okay. I'll give it 2 as well. Okay. 6. All right. Next one. Get the next one. Let's run through it. You guys go ahead.
To find the right target audience. I mean, since we're doing like mostly bridges and stuff like that, we would say we could maybe target like the FDOT, some government work, things like that.
Okay. It's easy when you're doing bridges. There's only so many audience that they can target.
So there's conferences, like FPDA, the Florida Transportation Builders Association, ACI, other organizations that have sponsored events, and try to basically get your product basically out there, at least show the product itself or what it's capable of doing, and see what kind of interest you can get from it.
Perfect. I think you covered that 100%. How would you rate the answer?
3.
Okay. 3. Okay, I think they know their audience, so I'll give them a 3 as well. Okay, next. Yeah.
Yes, I can say it. So we kind of said that our goal was to target like private and public sectors.
Okay.
And then, but also like just knowing the area and target those.
Okay.
Where we can see that there's a need.
Okay.
But it does.
Okay. How would you rate the answer? 3. 2. Okay, 5. I give him a 2 as well. But that's now a 6. All right. Okay.
Identifying the target audience. Just identifying where the need is and focusing on being available to the need, like locating ourselves in the area.
Small companies who have reputations, who will receive more orders and like make more popular.
Okay. How would you guys rate their answers? 2. 2. Okay, I'll give it 2 as well. I drew a line here just because of the sake of time. It's taking longer than expected, so we're gonna just Those will be our last two questions. Okay? I'll give you the rest, you can food for thoughts. Let's focus on those for a minute. All right, so you guys are next. How will you start your conflicts?
Seek advice from someone who knows what they're doing,
Which is the lawyer? No.
or someone in that
It's the idea of the question. They're not cheap, I can tell you that. And you, and as a startup, I'll be a lawyer. It's one of the things that startups are usually worried about.
Maybe, try to go to conferences that they have, I think, or sometimes they have like, have a review a contract or something.
Okay.
We'd have to look into doing a lot of it by ourselves.
Yeah.
When it comes down to that, we need to understand contract language.
Okay.
Kind of self-teach as much as you can, like as far as that's easy to, make sure it's obviously like backed up with actual evidence and not just like speaking whatever they want to speak.
Okay.
They have some, but if it's like in terms of like, it's just you learning really quick, like kind of a crash course,
Yeah.
of trying to use
Okay. Good.
what you have at hand.
Okay. Any other ideas? Okay. How do you guys read the answer?
Two.
Two. Okay, I give it a second. As well. Okay. Go ahead.
So we would start off with like a base document, like an AIA contract.
Okay, excellent.
And then try to find mentors or somebody who's maybe retired from contracting.
Yes.
And, talk about their experiences and, try to mitigate risk.
Right.
That way.
Okay. Good. How do you guys read the answer? Three. I'll give it a three as well. So that was a 9. Okay, I ran out of ink all the time. All of them. So you're gonna have to buy some. 4 colors. This is the last one. Okay. All right.
So we said to do our research and like base it off of past contracts from maybe like other companies and things like that do similar things to ours. Probably talk to like,
How would you get their comments?
is it some of that stuff public?
It's rare. Unless it's if it's a public work, yeah, you would have access. Okay. Let's say you work on British, so it applies. Okay. I'll stay with that. But usually, like for you guys, like most of the time, the contracts are not going to be online between the companies for legal reasons, obviously.
And then we also mentioned like consultants, but they kind of mentioned that like talking to people that could maybe like point us in the right direction or maybe take a look at what we have and tell us where we're going wrong, what we're doing right.
You always have to have a lawyer friend. Trust me. You want to do as many favors as possible. Okay.
And that was one thing I was going to mention, is basically maybe reach out to a professor that's worked in the College of Law or basically one of the universities.
I was gonna give it a 2 and now it's definitely 3. Okay. All right. What about you guys? How do you read the answer? 3.
How about ChatGPT? Just try it. Say, write me a, I'm serious, say, write me a contract on something, you'll be amazed.
So, last question. All right, let's go through it.
So besides just like basic competition, we also said like the traditional mindset is probably one of our biggest risks because
Yes.
we're introducing technology to something that's been done in a very like traditional way for such a long time.
And that's the biggest risk of anything that has to do with technology is education. Educating people that this is the better way to move forward because you're changing their mindset. And when that change comes, it's a lot of effort that has to be done up front. But once you go over this hurdle, this company might pick up pretty quickly. So you gotta understand that education is part of it. So you really have to make it believe. It's easier if I'm telling somebody, hey, I do something that you already know how it's done, and I can be another resource to do it. But if I'm coming up with a completely new idea, most people are gonna be skeptical about it, right? So remember, education is important whenever they have technology ideas.
Can I ask a question, because you're probably the best person here to be able to answer. Do you agree that as a startup, sometimes your biggest risk is not taking the risk?
Of course, 100%. Yes, 100%. 100%. Yes, it's a great way of thinking. Absolutely. I'm sure you guys heard motivational videos all the time. People say you have to fail, 6 times and get up 7. So, don't be scared to try. Especially when you're young, you don't have a lot to lose because it's not like have a big company and you have to make payroll every month of like 100 employees. We don't have a lot of rules, so we can try a couple of different areas. and then the market will speak. The people's feedback will tell you what people are willing to buy, what people are interested in, and then the road will become clear. But yes, 100% try to take risk and don't settle for what you know. Always try to be daring in your dreams and try to say, hey, I'm gonna set up a high goal for myself for the end of this year. So I'm gonna try to accomplish. Set up a goal that when you look at it, you call yourself crazy. You're like, okay, there's absolutely no way I'm gonna accomplish this goal. It's too far. It's too hard. And you'll be surprised if you don't get to the moon, you might reach something a little bit closer. Right? So reach out for the stars and try to get as far as you can. And then hopefully you'll get there, or at least close enough. So take risk for sure. What else?
I think that's basically just like a patent, apply for like a patent to kind of help slow down some of the litigation, and also not NDA for anybody who's working in close proximity to that technology.
Okay. How would you rate the answer? 3. Remember, this might be the deciding point. The last one there.
Well, then don't do that to us.
2 or 3 or 1. 2.
Going for the competitive edge.
I'll give him a 3 because okay. 8. Alright? This is how I think. Alright, go ahead.
So our risk that we kind of saw is that we might have bigger jobs that we weren't able to handle. So one way to avoid that risk would be like start small. So like start with small jobs. We also said the economy is a new one, lack of job and immaterial procurement.
Okay. How would you get the answer?
3.
Okay, how about you guys? How do you guys?
2.
Okay, I'll give it a 2 too.
Yes.
Remember,
I took them all the
The
things.
reason why I give it a 2 is just because I don't think it's going to be your problem at the beginning is that you have too much work. I think at the beginning your problem is getting the first job or the second job. So I wouldn't worry about that at the beginning. Right? It is one of the risks in the future, but it wouldn't be like one of my initial risks. Right? Remember, I just want to share with you that those 10 points, whether you want to take a picture of them or remember them or whatnot, no company will come up with the answers to those at day one, and the answers will still be the same after 5 or 10 years. The answer will continuously evolve. Right? Just like any app, you come up with an app, and then every time you do an update to an app, the business plan will change, the marketing strategy will change. Right? The audience, might change because you might grow your services. So all of those points, you come up with them at the beginning according to the best of your knowledge, and they will improve and upgrade, as you move forward. So remember that. Okay? So last but not least.
One of our biggest risks that we talked about was if we go to a construction site and we ask if they need help with something, maybe they're missing something, but they have someone that would, on their way home, pick it up so that tomorrow it's there. So I guess if somebody didn't see the value of us getting it that day and bringing it to them, if it's something they can push off tomorrow, I guess basically just not, or even if they're used to having that problem and they don't see the value in moving past that, I don't know. Okay. That's my thoughts.
Another risk could be damaging product. Say we're delivering student compliances or what have you. We could even turn that into a little bit of a profit. We'll provide insurance, put a little bit on top of that, get a little bit back. If you don't, just cover that. May raise costs, but at least our clients know that for peace of mind it's covered. So they get there and use a little faster than everybody else.
Okay. How do you rate that answer?
2.
2. She wants to win. It's not about the answer anymore. she had a 2 before you even started. Okay, what about you guys?
I'll give it a 2.
2? Okay, I'll give it a 2.
Oh, 10. That's a 10.
You're not even right a single digit.
100.
You're going softly. It's like, yeah.
54.
It's 55.
Oh my God.
Top 54.
That chance has a good for you.
Yeah, that looks like 56.
56?
No, don't take it. Don't
I
take
think
it.
it's 54.
54, okay. And how much we got here?
No, I think they're wrong.
Pull the calculator out. Hold on.
50?
The second team is 50.
Second team is 50?
I think 50 is fine. Come on, we're already going.
Damn, really 49?
49?
Oh my god.
That was like 49. I should have given you out 3.
49.
You guys are all really close.
Yeah,
You guys
except for
are
not
all
close
really
enough.
close.
Yeah. That side is not close.
I think the experience on this side made a difference. I can tell you that.
We're gonna hire an
I can tell you that. So, do you guys have any questions? Do you feel like you've learned anything new today?
Yes.
So I just want you to think that each and every one of you can eventually become a business owner. Each and every one of you, can make it happen. Don't ever think that I don't have what it takes. I don't have the money. I don't have the resources. If you really like it, you will figure it out. Just like they say, it's like all matters of heart. If you love something, you will know it and you'll find a way to make it work. So as long as you just find an idea that you're excited about it, an idea that you feel like strongly and passionately about it, you will eventually figure it out. And remember, you will face some roadblocks, and you will fail several times, and you will have a lot of people telling you, no, do not do it. It's not worth it. It's better to have a job, but eventually you'll make it through. There's nothing better than, or stronger, or more respectful than a man and a woman with a vision. So remember to always have a vision. That's why I put that question at the end, because I want to always think about that. Think about the end goal in mind, right? What do I want to accomplish in 10 years from now? Where do I really want to be in 10 years from now? How do I really want to get there, right? And if you keep dreaming about this, you will get there. Like I saw something one time from Jim Carrey, and he was saying that he was really poor. He didn't have any money, and he wrote himself a check for $5 million. When he didn't have any money, he didn't have enough money to buy a sandwich. He wrote himself a check and did it in I think it was 5 years or 10 years from that point. And then several years later, he came up with the movie Dumb and Dumber, and he actually paid him the exact same amount, only a couple of months before that date. So it's all because he had that dream, and he said, I'm gonna do whatever it takes. I'm gonna sacrifice my sleep. I'm gonna sacrifice my time with my family, sacrifice my time with my friends. But eventually, there's a lot of satisfaction in making something happen on your own, creating something and putting your name on it and say, I built that. That was my dream, and I made it happen. And I can tell you that the American dream is alive and well. It's just all up to us to make it happen or not. I just want to take a moment to thank Dr. Ahmed, because he was my first mentor, and the first job I ever had in my life was with Dr. Ahmed. I learned so much from him, and as you can imagine, it's like having your first girlfriend. You will never forget her. So I never forget everything I learned from Dr. Ahmed, and I really appreciate the opportunities you gave me, and I'm forever in debt for you. So thank you very much for your time.